In case you think that this is a bonsai, it is after a fashion a bonsai, but these are really garden trees or Niwaki. As most of you know, I don't like the term Niwaki. Niwaki simply means garden tree. So these garden trees are sold from like 1.2 meter to about 2-3 meter tall. And this variety, though, this species is Ilex cranata or Japanese holly. It grows extremely well in places like Japan, especially in southern Japan. They're quite hardy. In Mediterranean countries, they grow crazy, but in cold countries like the UK and Germany, they will not do well. But despite that, I've seen these sold by the hundreds and thousands for Japanese garden work. But a lot of people get disappointed because they are not entirely hardy. If you are to grow it in a temperate climate, you certainly need to protect it covered with a cloth or plastic bag when you have cold weather. People who live in London, where it is much warmer than out in the country where we are, their temperatures are usually 4 or 5 degrees centigrade warmer in the winter than we are here in the far south. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we prune this. Now this tree nearly died several years ago, and I fed it heavily and it's come back a treat. The story of this tree is I'm going to gift it to a hospice. A hospice is where people who are ill go to stay. So this is being gifted to the Japanese garden that they've built. But before I send it away, I'm going to show you how to prune it. Again, it's not rocket science. All these long straggly shoots I'm going to prune, make it into a dome shape. Some people love doing this because it is topiary and it is a nice form of topiary. I've always said that growing bonsai is just sophisticated topiary, nothing more. And this pair of scissors is my favorite tool. So I sometimes use the Felco secateurs. And there is a little electric hedge trimmer that you can use. So just keep these straggly shoots round so you get nice pads. Don't prune it into a pom-pom shape. I've seen some people prune them like poodles, you know, they're little round blobs. That's not a good look. They should be domed like this. This could form another branch. This one I will cut off because I want to show the branch. If you can look from this side, you see the shape I'm getting. I'm trying to create a pad here. Getting this definition of separation between different layers is very, very important when you create these garden trees. Unless you get a separation or layered effect, it just looks like a big blob. Again, I want to show the trunk, so I cut some of these off. So you take all the trouble to grow it and then you cut it off, but you need to maintain the shape. So that can become another pad there. And this is growing too high. See, if you let it grow, it will hide that layer. So I've got to cut this off. Don't let that grow too long. So this is how we maintain the spacing between different layers of branches. So each is a separate pad. And again, all these plants are very easy to propagate from cutting. So if you stick it in some peat and sand or ordinary peat or ordinary garden compost, whatever you use, you will get a new plant very quickly. So you see this how we prune these trees, creating the separation, creating the pads, and this is going to form a new pad there. This is growing out. So this is forming a new pad this side. So I won't prune this too hard. Anything which is sticking down or sticking up, we cut off. So I hope you can see the difference from pruning. And this is only on this side. I've got to go to the back as well. So you can see the effect. So wherever you find that the separation is not enough, this is a dead branch, we take more of it off. So you can see that effect. So that is a classic Niwaki or garden tree style of pruning the ilex. This one hasn't been done. I'm going to develop it more, but I will grow that as well. So I hope this gives you a little insight on how we prune ilex cranata. Talking about pruning Niwaki, this is a large Chinese elm bonsai, but some people would even call it, Niwaki or a garden tree because it's been trained after that fashion. You must be wondering why this tree is looking like this. But behind everything that you see, especially at our nursery, there is a reason and purpose for doing it. Now, these large shoots were deliberately grown long to strengthen the tree. Now, this tree was not looking very healthy when I purchased it, so I decided to make it strong. And by making it strong, I put it in this basket here. You can see this aerated basket, and look at the roots which have grown. It's gone into the ground. So for the last 2 years, it has been growing in that basket. And in 2 years, from a sick tree, it's become an extremely vigorous tree. So vigorous that it's become so dense that it has lost its shape. So now that I know it's healthy and strong, I'm going to bring it back to shape. And when I bring it back to shape, it is almost like pruning a garden tree. Now these thick shoots are not going to be wasted because I know that they will grow from cuttings. And we will keep all these for cuttings. These would make ideal cuttings like that. That would make an ideal cutting, like so. So how many cuttings can I get? I'll have hundreds of cuttings. So again, when you're faced with a situation like this, I would just go about pruning it to the outline. I won't bother too much about doing anything else. Okay, so I will prune to shape. I bet you're dying to have a go because this is really fun. Again, it is really topiary, nothing else. But I will show you the structure when we get to it. There is structure in there. And catching it at this point in its growth cycle is just the right one, because if I let it go too long, then the insides will die. So I've caught it at just the right time. As we always say, there can always be too much of a good thing. And if you let it go rampant, you will lose the shape completely. 2 years is about right to make a tree healthy and strong again. Quite amazing that although it's in a pot, to have shoots 2-3 feet long in 2 years is quite incredible. I think like this one, I'll show you, this is this year's growth. I'm going to cut that off. Oh, so strong, I can't really get it off. So this is this year's growth, like that. That is 1 year's growth. And if I grew it in the ground, it would even be more vigorous than this. I remember going to southern China, Guangdong, where they were growing Chinese elms in the fields. And they told me that you can get a tree 1 inch thick in literally 1 or 2 years. 1 or 2 years, as quickly as that. And they grow them around bamboo sticks to give it that S shape. No wiring done, just with bamboo sticks. That's why Chinese elms are grown literally by the million. It is the single most popular species for selling on the commercial market. And in these propagating nurseries in China, can you imagine, you'll get about 1,000 trees from what I pruned just now. And there are no signs of any pest or disease on this tree. Funny how some pests and disease only sort of hosts on certain plants. Ficuses are notorious. The ficus family always seem to attract that sticky scale insect and the fluffy white scale. So if you look at the tree this side, half the tree has been pruned. The other half has not been pruned. Now let's tackle this. And I could put it back into its bonsai pot at this stage. I will assess it, and that will slow the growth down a bit. But I will now go into the structure and prune the structure. So I'm just pruning the outline first. With any form of pruning maintenance for bonsai or garden trees, always the outline first and then go into the structure to deal with the detail. Because if you analyze each of these pads carefully, it's just a mass of crossing branches going this way, that way, without any structure. I want all the branches to be growing outwards, not crossing each other. Now, I will turn the tree round because what you're looking at so far is the back of the tree. The front of the tree is actually this side. Don't forget, these commercial trees are grown in this way. And I'll show you some of the tricks that they've used, the growers have used. If you look at the tree carefully, are you okay? I want to show you what they've done to a branch here. Now this branch coming out this side to fill that space is actually a branch that should have come this way, but they forced it to grow that way. If I revert again, if you come this side and have a look, see what they've done here. The branch is like that and then forced to come this way. It should have gone that way, but they forced it to go this way just to fill the space on this side. So this is perfectly acceptable, nothing wrong with it. So growers use all sorts of tricks and techniques to get the effects they want to create. Okay, so let's revert to the front again. So I'm going to now turn the tree around this way. So this is your proper front. We have several elms that have been growing like this, and it's not always to keep it strong and healthy. It's just sometimes to thicken the trunk. In the 2 years that I've had it, it must have put on at least ½ an inch of trunk diameter by growing it that way. Now that I've brought it back to good healthy condition, I can now keep it pruned like this all the time so that I get the pads to form in a more structured way, not haphazard like this. So what I've done for the last 2 years is simply to bring this tree back to full health, which as you can see it has done. And then I'm going to develop these pads better. So you can see the structure here. Beautiful S shape, classic S shape, with one branch there, one branch here. So all the pads are also in the right place, the branches in the right place. So if I now keep it pruned constantly, I will not get dieback in the center, or the extremities are taking all the energy at the moment. So if you let it grow too long, the insides die. It's like a crow's nest, the inside. So this is where I now have to carefully go through one at a time to analyze all the pads, all the wrong crossing branches. If you look carefully at this one here, if you look at this one, this is going the wrong way, so this really should be taken off. I want to keep the pads flat like that. So this is going in the wrong way. This way I take this off. It needs to go outwards. This is going upwards, I need to grow it flat. So this is going upwards too much, I make this flat. So that is how I form this pad. And next year it will form nice fine shoots to form a very nice dense pad there. So now the detailed analysis is what I'm about to do next. So it's not just hacking and slashing as some of you think I'm doing. There is little more to that than you think. Like that one, I'm not sure if I can make that in a pad, but I'll keep it for now. Anything hanging downwards, I take off. So you get the general idea. So that's how we deal with this tree. So we will follow the progress of these trees. I can even, if I want to change the shape, make a more dome shape here, like that. So I can still play around with the shape till I get it to my liking. And sometimes people may feel that this branch is coming out too much this way. I may wire this side to open the front a little more. So that is clouding the trunk. I may pull it this side so the front is more visible. So I hope this gives you a feel and idea of how we prune these large Chinese elms. They are lovely trees, very hardy trees, and very good value for money. Unlike some of the more sophisticated maples and pines, Chinese elms, because they're produced in China, they are relatively cheap to buy. So there you go. I'm now in my growing fields, and we have some large garden trees on Niwaki here. These are Japanese yew Niwaki. They are imported from Japan. You see the size of them? They're well over 2 meters tall. They're about 2.5 meters tall. And these trees are quite expensive trees because they are very hardy. Unlike the Japanese holly, Ilex cranata, these are really suited to temperate climate. So we buy them small and then we grow them big. But while they're growing, you've got to keep them under control. Otherwise, they lose the shape. Again, you notice how we prune them. I will come to this one. If you come closer to this side, you look at the pad formation here. I don't make them into little round balls. These are properly shaped like this. This is what a tree should look like. And to prune it, you can either use the ordinary pruners, or you can use the traditional Japanese scissors, bonsai scissors to prune. It is very, very tiring to do that. Anything hanging down, remember, you need to take it out. And I always work from the bottom upwards. And the top, you see how rampant it has become. So where I can't reach, I have to use a step ladder. So if you come close and see how I'm pruning. So these are all pads. And you need to keep the pads under control. Can you shoot from this side? Can you see the pads from here, this way? You get a view from this way. So this is just 1 year's growth. I haven't pruned it since the spring, so it's time I gave it a prune. Many people always ask me, is there any particular time to prune? Obviously, I think in the middle of summer is a good time to prune, but autumn is also a good time to prune because hedges are normally pruned very often in the summer, and these are really like hedging trees. So you can see the Felcos do a very good job because they're nice and sharp. So you can see how the pads are formed. I don't, again, remind you to make it into a ball shape, so they have to be like a dome shape. So let me just show you another little device that I have for pruning. And I don't want to advertise the brand. These are mini hedge trimmers. So the mini hedge trimmer does that. Let me show you. Let me climb up. So it's just like doing your hair. So you can see the shape I'm creating. It's that sort of shape I'm trying to create. And let me just get down and have a good look. You've got to stand back and see what you're doing. See, that is a bit overgrown on that side. So as you can see, this is a very useful tool for doing this sort of thing. So I've done a bit of that side. I need to do more this side. You see, these are a bit too long. So you can see it's just like what a barber would do with a person's hair. So you see that rounded dome shape that I'm trying to create. So that is the shape you need to make the Niwaki look like. I've got to do the back of this, but this one hasn't been done. I've got to climb up on a ladder and do this. Let me just show you how to do this pad. If you come here and focus on this pad, this is what we call a pad. So this is one great big pad. That top also needs doing. I find that with this tool, it's only useful for thin shoots. Once you get into woody bits like that, you may need the secateurs to do it. But it's a very useful tool nonetheless. So I haven't done the top, but you can see how the pads have been formed. Now with this tree, the pads have merged with each other, so I may need to separate this. But this is where the secateurs comes in, because with thicker shoots you will need the secateurs. And where you don't get enough light, you do get some dieback. So this is inevitable with most plants. So don't be dismayed if you sometimes get dead twigs. You see the dead twigs I'm pruning here. You can get the dead twigs as well. Now over here, I think I can create a separate pad. So what I'm going to do, if you look at it carefully from this side, I'm going to take this bit off. You see, because I want to make this as a separate pad. So like bonsai, you can always change the shape. There's always a temptation to just let everything merge with each other and it just becomes a great big round ball. That's certainly not what you want to do. If you come from this side, this is what I'm trying to do. You see, I'm trying to create a gap between that so that it's not just a mass. You can make it a mass, but to my mind, this would be a better design if it's a separate pad altogether. You see how I've opened that up. I'm trying to create this pad and keep this pad separate. So I'm not going to spend all the time filming me working, but I'm creating separate pads here. And when I finish the whole tree, because this will take me at least another half hour or full hour to do, I will show you the finished result. What I'm trying to emphasize is that I'm using different tools for different work, because some of these twigs are very stiff and hard. The little mini hedge trimmer may not be able to do that. And again, this is some of the work, and you see the ties that we have here. Because we don't wire these trees, we can bring the branches down by tying it down. So that is how some of these Niwakis are made and created. So I will stop here now, and when I finish the entire tree, I'll take another shot. The top is not complete yet. You can see the top there. If you take a view from here, this tree has many views. If you walk around here, if you come around this side, you see more of the trunk from here. If you come down this way, some people may consider this to be the front, right from this side, where you can see the beautiful twist in the trunk. So whoever buys this tree may decide to view it from this side, because the trunk line is more pronounced. So exactly like a bonsai design, those are back branches at the back, and you can see the beautiful trunk line. So I'm going to trim a little more, and when the whole thing is done, I will show it to you again. So another bit of detail, for instance, this branch here, some people may consider this not to be appropriate. You see over here, that's doing nothing, so you can take that off. So again, all the basic bonsai principles are being used for garden trees. So the garden trees are in effect large bonsai. But the pruning is done in a slightly different way, but the design principles are the same. And while I'm at the tree and with the cameraman, if you come closer, I want to show you the bark. Now, like the junipers that we grow as bonsai, the yew trees belong to Cupressus family, which is part of the juniper family as well. And the bark we clean in the same way that we do with junipers. You can clean the bark by taking the bark off and also brushing the bark like that. Exactly how you would treat a juniper. So I will complete this process and then show you the completed project. So this is the final pruning. You see how we've done the pads like an inverted walk, as it were. So you see the head and you see the pads. So this is how we prune these large Niwaki or large garden trees. This one we've also done the pads. You see the detail of the pad like that, but not like a round ball. And then if you come from this side, this I regard as the front of the tree. From here, right from here, you see the beautiful trunk line. And again, you see how the pads are trimmed like that, trimmed like that. This is trimmed like that. And the trunk line is visible so that you can appreciate the trunk line. And if we point to the clouds, some people refer to them as cloud trees. You can see how the billowing clouds, the clouds are like rounded. So that is what we're trying to create. So I'm not surprised people call them cloud trees because they resemble billowing clouds. So I hope you've learned something from pruning these large garden trees, starting from the small ilex to the Chinese elm to these large Japanese yew.